Good morning. It is just after 10:30 a.m. UK time, and it is Sunday morning, which means it is time for Sunday Club, where we are every week building a Ruby on Rails app and kind of looking at things from a learner's perspective. So hopefully if you are seeing this and you're subscribed, you'll have kind of followed along with the app that we're building, which is an app to build websites for channels like this one. So maybe every video will have a page or something like that. We're still in the early stages of the app, and that's what we're doing here every week. I'm kind of hoping that the stream is working. As usual, I'm going to just check real quick that the audio from my voice is coming through, because the streaming, it's coming through amazing. Cool. This week, what we're going to take a look at is trying to actually get our app live, which is going to be pretty great. Yesterday, I did what I call like homework editions, which is where we stream not on a Sunday morning, but just try and do some of the jobs that you would do around building a Rails app. So yesterday, we were doing work on tidying up the giant Git branch that we had built up with loads and loads of commits on, and rebasing those commits, turning them into pull requests on GitHub, and then looking at merging those into master. And one of the things that came up from that yesterday is the thought about having your tests run when you make the pull request. So I have used Heroku CI actually I've used a bunch of different CI stuff in the past, but for Rails app of this kind of like hobby status, Heroku CI is an option, and we're going to use Heroku to host the app. But one of the things that cropped up was in yesterday's stream was the ability to see when you are in your pull request, it's like, hey, do you want to use GitHub Actions for this? And I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I thought we could explore that today. So get GitHub Actions working on a Ruby on Rails app to run the tests when hopefully automatically when we make a pull request, and then it will kind of show us the green tick if it's good to go, or the little red cross, and tell us the errors and stuff like that. I have not used, I am a user of GitHub Actions, but only actions that other people have set up and maintained. So I use them on repos that I work on, but I have not ever used them as a customer, kind of as a kind of editor of them. So we're going to explore that together, I think. And then we are going to try and get the app up on Heroku, which I have done before, but not for a little while actually, so I don't know, maybe we could follow the docs, or my memory won't be great on that, and try and get the site live. Now that might involve, yesterday we got the first 1 or 2 pull requests up. I did do some more after the stream, so I think we started off with well over 30 commits that were just on this work in progress branch. So I think we are now below 30. So I squished a bunch together, and we were pulling out themes and trying to see what would make coherent pull requests. Obviously, most of them will be similar to like what the stream was about, and that will hopefully kind of make sense when people then look at the pull requests going through, if they're interested in following along with these streams later. So let's kind of dive into it. Let's bring our repo up on screen. Okay, so let's put that one up on screen at the moment. So yesterday, this list here those are the kind of key themes that we had in our work in progress branch that we had been moving through. So if this is the first stream you're coming to, we have this concept where the app was originally going to have channels, and that was going to be the thing that we based the site around. And then I think I want to touch on some other things. So in a previous stream, we then introduced this concept of having a site model that would then have many channels, a channel being like a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel or something like that. And we pulled out individual themes that then might be grouped together to make pull requests or squished down into one commit or something like that. And I think these ones are definitely merged. Let's go take a look at the pull request from yesterday. I can just bump the font size up on this a little bit so you guys can make it easier to see. So these are the pull requests on the repo so far. So yesterday we got 2 in. So introduce control panel namespace, so that's got 3 commits in it, but I think there were more in that one, and this is the one we did live yesterday on the stream, where we introduced the initial version of the channels controller, and that all got merged in. Again, there was no CI or anything. So under this kind of checks tab in the pull request, there's nothing here. And there's, when you kind of make your pull request, there was no like green tick to show that the build had worked or anything. So it kind of, I Googled really quickly yesterday, and I found this post on dev.to, GitHub Actions to run Rubocop and RSpec tests on Rails with Postgres. Now we are working on Rails with Postgres with RSpec, so this seems like the article for us. It's from January this year, so I know GitHub Actions I think have been changing a bunch, and I think it's a fairly new product. So let's take a look. Oh, okay, so I have done no research. We're discovering this together. We're going to go through it together. So I decided to share my experience. Hope you find it useful. I really hope that too, Mohammed. That's what we are hoping. So I did use Rubocop. I actually don't know if we added it to this repo at all. I think it might run in my VS Code. Okay, so we can add it. That's cool. If the code passes the previous step, the RSpec tests are triggered to check if the new commit code didn't break, something else worked. Great. Finally, if all tests pass, you will get a report generated using simple cover to show how well the test covered the application's code. I've actually done that with the, I wonder if it's still free, but Codacy. Let me just open that in another tab in case I'm logged into that. So Codacy is something, no, I'm not. So let me just, can I pull that tab back over? Cool. So I've used this before, which is pretty helpful. I think it's just using simple cover under the hood, but it gives you like a nice UI around it, and you can like mark things as done and associate them with issues and stuff. So it just kind of wraps a product around those coverage reports. So if you're interested, not sponsored or anything, just I've used it. It was actually pretty good. I found it pretty helpful for the team that we were working on. I'd say the best use of Codacy that we found was for really small teams, having non-technical people bring in contractors and things like that. It was kind of a visual way of them asking questions around the code that was going live. They obviously didn't know necessarily the ins and outs of the code, but they were able to ask like why the coverage had lowered, or stuff like that. So it was a good conversation starter, I guess, which I think is pretty useful in that kind of contractor role. Okay, so demo application. So he's got a demo app call. You check the config. You notice I've solely edited the section related to the testing database, as I didn't need to run the application in the development environment. Okay, so test default localized Postgres Rails GitHub action test. Okay, so let's go check out his repo then. And he has edited config database. So config database. Going exploring through other people's blog posts. So I'm hoping this is all kind of fonts are big enough and we can read this. So he's got setup stuff. This is the default stuff. Okay. Else GitHub action development. Okay, kind of says I have solely edited the section related to the testing database, and the development one is changed as well. Oh, is that the oh, sorry, is that the name of the repo? Rails GitHub Actions _ oh, I see. Rails GitHub. Oh, I see. And then _ development. Oh, okay. So that's the name of the repo. And then _ test. Username Postgres. So what is ours? Because I don't think we changed ours in Sunday Club from the defaults that just came when we built Rails, I don't think. So config database 2 months ago. Add default Rails installation. So we have Postgres, max threads, database, Sunday Club development, Sunday Club test. Okay. Saying about this, create .github workflows. The first step is to create a folder called /workflows in the root of your project folder. Create the file that will describe the workflow. In this file, you must write the details you need to run the work. I feel like we should be reading the docs, but like, this is a very detailed blog post. I hope this is up to date. Define the environment variables. Okay. Find the name of the workflow and when it should be triggered. Name is the name of the workflow that will appear in the GitHub Actions UI. On, specify what are the events that will trigger the workflow. In this example, it will be triggered on push and pull request events. And jobs will contain all the tasks to be defined in the workflow. Okay. Describe the jobs, so Rubik test. Maybe we can just skip Rubik. Can we just do the middle one for now? Just do the aspect one? God, that's long. Okay, let's not worry about that. This left loop, we run the test, will fail. The reason is we didn't create a database service yet. We need to define a new section, services, inside the aspect test job. Okay. Images are going to import. I don't think there's a typo on that one. Check out the full code in this link. So this links us to his workflow. All right, should we do one of these? Can we make a branch on? Let's just do it in the editor. I don't think it's really okay. I'm gonna take that out and just chuck it in a gist that we can then link to from the description. So list from whip branch. So I'm just doing this on the other screen, and that can just be. Okay, so that's a gist, and we can add that to the description of the video from yesterday. Okay, so that's gone. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump back to master, and let's make a new branch. And this is going to be called GitHub Actions. Cool. Let's open up our files. And we want .github/workflows. Okay. .github, and then a new folder called workflows. Great. Should we just grab that file straight away and just try and chop up the bits we need? I mean, feels like the level of diligence we've been doing everything else with. Let's just kind of do it and see what we can completely miss from the docs on the way. That does really feel like our vibe so far. Oh, what did he call it? Wasn't paying attention. Workflow.yaml. It's interesting that it's YAML rather than like JSON. Come on. Okay, so let's paste in what we have copied, chop up some of that trailing spaces. Okay, so let's see if we can just, what we're going to do is, I don't know if these are going to, let's just pull out the Rubocop one. Can we also pull out I think we can pull that one out as well. I'm just guessing that that is the, we just don't really care about the coverage results. We can add those back in, but I just want to see if we can get the bare bones. That might be a really bad idea. I don't know the Ruby version that we ended up using. Is there a .ruby version? 5.4. Postgres, Rails test Postgres. Okay, so let's do some nice capitalization. That'll cheer me up. They're not really. Where are they? Oh, I see. So the name is actually for all of the jobs. Okay, aspect test needs Rubocop test. Okay, that can go. Runs on this services Postgres. Latest. Okay, so these are presumably pre-built Docker. Oh, I can never remember the difference. Containers, images. Can't remember the. This is not a land in which I spend many hours. So this is, but that's presumably what that's doing. What's that container needs, and then the Postgres stuff to set it up. Steps uses actions checkout at v1. Actions set up Ruby at v1. I'm presuming these are pre-built actions that you can grab. Making a lot of assumptions about this. No idea. Install dependency, gem install bundler, bundler install. I was thought bundle install, bundler. Okay. Create database. We're going to do that bundle exec Rails DB create test, migrate test, Rails test bundle exec rake. Okay, so if we save that, I'm still not quite clear where that change from config had to happen. So test database presumably needed a password. Is that what the blog post was indicating? Postgres username, Postgres password. Solely edited a section related to the testing database, so they didn't need to run the application in the development environment. Do the tests actually run at this point? That's probably not a good part of putting that live. Okay, well, let's worry about that later. Okay, so can we just yeah, okay, let's check if the tests will run as they are, because this is oh wait, do we have to run? But yeah, we have to run. That place was using bundler. Is that the same? Is that just an alias? Okay, I've never seen that before. Okay. There are only 8 tests here because remember we've dropped back to master, which is only the pull requests we merged in on yesterday's stream. So the work in progress branch is not included in these tests as is. We would need to do this work and then either leave this on the GitHub Actions branch, then rebase everything else over to master. We could do this and then gradually rebase on top of it. It doesn't really matter, but that's why there's only 8 tests. I can't remember what the final total is, but it's higher than that. Okay, so let's commit this and see what happens. Oh, because none of them... let's keep with tradition and make yet more work in progress things. Man, I really regretted that freebase was heavy yesterday. It was like an hour on the stream. I know I was explaining it as I was going along, but that's a long work in progress branch. I should really have not been as lazy and actually tidied it up as we were going along. In fact, in that note, I am going to write a little bit more in here to save myself having to do it later. So add initial GitHub Actions We are aiming to get aspect tests running in GitHub when we make a pull request. This template is a modified version of one found in this blog post. And then we're going to link to this in case anyone wants to follow it later. Long URL. Okay. I'll do. Let's push that up then. Right, so is what we're saying that just simply the presence of that file will now trigger this on this push? One thing I have heard from my memory maybe, is that GitHub Actions are maybe a little slow. I don't know if that's a true thing or not. Right, so back in our repo, ooh, we now have an action under our Actions tab. This was blank earlier, I didn't even bother showing it. Okay, so you can do new workflow here. Oh my god, oh, this is actually what we were looking at on last week's stream. There wasn't like a quickly grab one. I think maybe this would have done. Build and test a project, but it didn't have all the database stuff in. Yeah, I don't know how much that would have worked. Right, so this is doing stuff, this stuff in progress. What do we get when we go through? Right, Rails test on push, this run. Okay, so something failed. Version 254 not found. Great, so that's the first line. Very exciting that things are happening though. Very excited. Workflow file. Do you not put the point fours on? Oh, are we just gonna edit this file back and forth for the next? Okay, well that was pretty quick. So let's just let's just check that. Let's just oh, fuck it. Come on. Not gonna Google anything. Just gonna try that. Adjust Ruby version in workflow script. Cool. Let's give that another run and then we can actually... Okay, so I've pushed that. Will it run again automatically? Okay, that's still... Oh, did I not... Did I push that up? No. Yeah, didn't push it. Just sat there staring at a screen for no reason. I'm just checking to see if this just turns on. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, so you get an individual... These are just runs. Okay, cool. Yeah, so my CI experience is like Heroku CI, Jenkins. These are all kind of as a user, like that kind of DevOpsy side is not really my stuff. My personal stuff, I've just used Heroku CI because so much of it is done on your behalf. Whereas if you're working on another repo, other developers are kind of in charge of that side of things. And my knowledge of it is just at that level of like needing enough to use it as a consumer. Like Heroku CI does have these setup scripts, but they're like, I think because of the build packs that Heroku provide, and also they're the ones who give you the database. If they're just like, hey, use Heroku, obviously it's using use Postgres. It's using Heroku's version of that. Like everything is so out of the box with them. I mean, obviously you're paying for it. Even using CI, I think, is a paid product. Process completed with exit code 1. Oh wait, hang on. Did we get further? Okay. This is so exciting. We're making progress on each run, I think. Okay, so it needs successfully installed bundler 214. Could not find bundler required by. So installed bundler. Could not find bundler 117.3. Oh, have we tied it in our gem file or something? Is it because of these versions? What's our... Oh, is it like... Ugh. Can you do gem list bundler? Yes. Bundler default 117.3. And this is 2.1.4. Is this just that my bundler version locally is so far out of date? It's gonna do all of the fucking gems, isn't it? What an idiot. I meant... that's so not what I meant to do. Okay, let's not worry about that. Well, that's healthy, because now we've updated all our gems. That's good. Do our tests still pass? We've only done like 3-4 of them at this stage. No, okay. Okay, man, I've really broken that. Okay, wait. Let's just undo that. We didn't mean to do any of that. That was a mistake. Let's discard these changes and just do bundle install. Cool. Okay, so now if we run the tests, they pass. Okay, cool. So what I was trying to do is update bundler version. There we go. Is it that we have to... I'm not really sure what I'm trying to fix here. Is it that we have to have bundler... So we've told that... Could we just change that first command in here to just use the same version? Is it doing that on an explicit step? Here. Can we just do gem install specific version? I think it's just -v, isn't it? Gem install specific version. Yeah, just -v. And then whatever we're using here. Actually, let's just check what's in here. Yeah, just that change. So let's commit that. Okay. Yeah, I'm just experimenting here to see if we can get this working. So here's another one. So this, I think GitHub Actions is a paid service, but you get a bunch of free time. I think it's done on minutes from my memory of reading the promo pages. So I think we're using our free minutes. Yeah, so I think we got to the install dependencies step last time. Your revision is 2.5, your gem file specified 2.5.4. I tried to specify 254 in the tried to specify 254 in the workflow and it wouldn't let me, so I had to chop it down. Is the idea that there isn't an image available for that when you actually run the... Where is this used? With Ruby version. So actions setup Ruby. Let's take a look at what this is doing. Are there tags per version or anything like that? Supports 2.4, 2.5, 2.6. No, the Ruby version of 2.6, 2.6x are equivalent. Okay. It said that it wasn't available. What did the first one say? Version 2.5.4 not found. What's 2.4, 2.5, 2.6? This action sets up a for versions which are installed on the... Just want a list, really. And the error that we got was 2.5.4 not found. Okay. And then the next error that we got so let's just bump. Can we just bump up to 258 then locally? For how long will that take? 258. This is still kind of useful, I think. I'm gonna keep going this because I do want to get this set up. GitHub action Ruby version not available. Let's see what other people have got. 263 broken workflows without warning. Ah, okay, cool. So people are having the same problem. Looks like they updated to 265. I'd recommend changing your workflow. Oh, okay. People are finding... I just realized that the README states the setup Ruby will not actually install requested Ruby versions. The suggestion is behind the point. You want your CI to run the exact Ruby of... Yeah, okay. Supports exact Ruby versions and all versions between note that there are plans to install pre-built versions. Setup Ruby. Okay, so this is looking like there's something happening with that step. Yeah, this is like I used Worker ages ago. W-E-R-K-E-R, I think it's Worker. And they were a lot less. They were a lot more like the GitHub Actions version, where the it was kind of like there was stuff you could rely on other people, whereas the Heroku stuff is often from Heroku, so they're really incentivized to keep everything up to date and working for you. Whereas with Worker and other tools, you're often relying on other people's code to run the steps in the build, and so it doesn't necessarily work as reliably. We had issues on like a couple of client projects where like randomly someone would change their script that was in our build thing, and our CI would fail, which was obviously not tenable. Just checking the audio from the stream while that's running in the background. You can hear my fan kicking in. Yep, audio is still good, so all good. Cool. Okay, so that's still running in the background. So what did people suggest for this? Okay, there's a lot of conversation around this. This is all obviously a moving target. Let's just get the... It's a really long conversation. Oh my god. Right, so one of the issues is that you can... I'm skimming and assuming from my quick skim that the issue is there's another repo where they will literally build the Ruby for you, but presumably that's a hell of a lot slower, and what this is doing is just grabbing something. Oh, okay, but that is going to become the new version. Yeah. Don't know what the actual outcome of this is, that's why I'm scrolling down. If you remember / Ruby / okay, so that, if you remember that thing, blog post you were following us, I think was written in January. So all of this conversation seems to have been starting in January as well. Okay, so there's now... So it's Ruby / setup Ruby. What are we using on ours? Actions / setup Ruby. Right. Okay. So that might be a. Is there an official? Ah. Okay. I think we might be using a deprecated action. Excellent. So check out Ruby. Right. Okay. Cool. So we chased that down, and it looks like we want Ruby / setup Ruby, rather than this. Although we have just moved to a whole new. Let's just change our Ruby. I mean, hey, why not? Let's just bump up Ruby versions just while we're here, but for no reason. The app's not live, and make the CPU do some work on a Sunday morning. Let's go and update our action as well. So let's make 2 sets of changes. Do the workflow one first. So we're going to stage that change. So apologies, I'm just switching from terminal to using VS Code just to stage that change real quick. Actually, we can commit it here as well. update step. Should I have read the comments on that dev.to post first? I remember just remembering they have comments underneath. No, there was nothing under. Okay, we might be good citizens of the web, and if this works, we might just add a comment under here just to say that that is something we want to do. Update step in GitHub action. We found out via this issue. Put it in as a that's the step in our original template has been deprecated. This is the replacement. Let's commit that, and then the gem file one is still installing stuff, but we will have a new version of Ruby. I don't know what the latest version actually is. This is just the latest point release for the version we were on. So we can update Ruby version to 8. Again, I think that might now be a moot point, but let's just try and do everything we can to get this working. I think I can commit that. I don't actually need the build to pass. I think I can then push from here. Publish changes. This is something we found yesterday. Is that the same as push? That doesn't feel great. Yeah. So let's see what happens now. So we've updated our workflow action to use that new step that we found. Ruby setup Ruby rather than actions setup Ruby, because that one has been deprecated. If it has been deprecated, it would be really handy if they said, hey, don't use this, it's been deprecated. Oh, excited. We've gone past that step. Amazing. Oh, we're installing gems. Okay, we're getting closer and closer. I wonder what this thing does with caching. Because that's a bit of a... there's some interesting posts on the Heroku CI side. Around like... I don't think they use caching. There's some reason as well. I can't remember. Okay, so this is gonna slow us down if they don't do caching in terms of the stream, because they would need to install each time this is run. So hopefully they will be able to do some sort of caching here. Okay, exciting. Oh man. Okay, this one's taking a little while. There's not a lot else I can do while I'm waiting for this, because I assume the create database or the run test stuff is gonna fail, but I don't know how or why yet. I don't know why I think it's gonna fail, just because pessimism, I think. Where are we at on time? Okay, so 50 minutes. Okay, we can, depending on how far we get through, I think we can hopefully still get onto Heroku stuff. It'd be amazing to get a little green tick on the pull requests. It's a strange incentive to get billed on the amount of time that you spend running GitHub Actions, but then you would want the people making the scripts, I guess, to run as fast as possible. So I don't know if you have to run like GitHub's own actions. Usually they get more money if their actions are slower. Not that I think that would really happen, but I'm just staring at the screen waiting for stuff to happen. Do you think it's deliberate that little animation doesn't center on that circle? Or is that a bug? It's kind of interesting how it goes around it. Come on. So to prep for some of the Heroku stuff, if we get to it while I'm doing this, we have a domain name, and I set up a Heroku site for it, but I haven't attached the domain name. But I did also set up a Cloudflare account. In fact, I saw an email arrive from Cloudflare, so I was hoping that the domain had gone through and connected. I'm not sure because I had to change the name servers. Yes, we've got a failure. Okay, great. Okay, so create database failed. So this is our password stuff, hopefully. Couldn't create Sunday Club test database. Please check your configuration. Great. There's no way I'm running these if they're 4 minutes every time to debug live on the stream. That's just going to be too depressing. So let's try and debug it, and hopefully it will cache that step. Great, so this goes back to our password issue. And not updating, I think, our... now that that's out of date, is there any other, Actions subroutine. So is Actions like the official... Oh, mate. No, okay. Okay, they're just languages, I guess, for that. Okay. So, Postgres password, Postgres DB, the database related information. And the issue is that it can't connect. No, it couldn't create it. Because it couldn't connect. We have to assume that Postgres exists because it's... Okay. Let's just do a quick... I'm actually going to look for more Rails specific one. Okay, so here's someone else who's got the same instruction set. The services Postgres, is that what we are doing? Ah, damn it. That should have gone on the previous commit. The one where we changed the gem file. I knew that was annoying. Update gem file lock with new Ruby version. God, sorry about that. So in our workflow, we are saying services Postgres, Postgres latest. Services Postgres, Postgres is 11. We don't really care. Ports, yeah. And Postgres user, Postgres password, Postgres and Postgres, which we've already set. We just set them differently. Don't know if we care about the options. Actions users checkout 1. Actions that Ruby said that's still the wrong one. When is this from? September 2019. Okay, fine. These all work. So Postgres. Did he have to do anything before? Ruby version. Model install. That's all happening. Postgres create config database .yaml.github actions. Oh, okay. He's actually putting it in a different create config database. Okay. It's a new instruction out of nowhere. Wait, unless I missed the path on the first one. No, he did it in database.yaml. Database.yaml.github actions. With the following content. Okay, I'm going to try this one. So I'm going to copy this. And go over to config and do new file. I'm going to create that file. And we are going to paste in, hopefully, this. And then we are going to add dbconfig for GitHub Actions. Okay, and then we're going to use this weird sync button just to do the push. Okay, so we now should be running again. But that's all pretty great. And then this time we'll just see if we have to wait that 4 minutes, because that might kind of put a bit of a block on actually being able to practically move past that step. Ah, amazing. No, yes. Oh, no, I think it's going to do it every time. Okay. Okay, well, while that's running, let's go and take a look at the Heroku stuff. Okay, I think that might put a block on doing this on the stream, because I don't want to sit here and wait for 4 minutes every time that runs. Seem to be moving. Oh, it's only on B, I suppose. Yeah, okay. So let's go and take a look at the Heroku side of things. We can kind of come back and check on this as it's running. So let's see. I've got another tab open here. Just bump the font size up a bunch. So if you haven't used Heroku before, we can pop this one here. So I've set up a little Heroku app. So Heroku is a hosting provider, and it's a platform as a service. You can actually do loads of stuff with it. But it's pretty easy to get a new app up and running. Heroku really came back in the day from the kind of Rails and Ruby world, as I understand it. So it was very good with Rails from an early age. Now you can put anything on Heroku, and they have all these fancy stuff that you can do. But if you want to just get a project up and running hosted wise really easily, it's really really good for that. The docs are always great. It gets knocked for being a bit pricey, but basically if you're willing to pay anything at all, it's usually knocked by pricey in that it's not free. They do have like a free, we'll put this up on a free dyno, which is their term for an individual server. And you do get like 1,000 free minutes per month, but that it's on like a limited size of server and stuff like that. But it's great value, and then you do pay something for additional services, like if you want a better server, better database, larger database, those kind of things. For the money that you pay compared to what you actually would need to do yourself in terms of time, I've always found it really good value. A couple of projects and clients and stuff have used them. Their server bills weren't tiny, but they also didn't have to hire a bunch of people to maintain them and things like that. They were able to defer kind of a lot of the maintenance onto that. So we've got our app up and running here, and hopefully we can actually deploy it. So I haven't added a pipeline. So a pipeline is, like I mentioned, a really good way to get CI working in Heroku. So you can do pretty much everything in Heroku if you want to. GitHub are now kind of pulling. Before GitHub offered Actions, you kind of needed that CI service to sit in the middle and then talk to GitHub and Heroku. Then Heroku introduced it, and now GitHub have their own as well. So you can either have GitHub run the CI, you can have an entirely separate CI service, or you can have Heroku run the CI. You could have all three, I guess, if you wanted. You can mix and match how you want to do it. That's probably confusing if you're setting up the first time. I have connected the repo so that Heroku will be able to see when we make pull requests and do things like that. One of my favorite Heroku features, which is now available, I think you can do it yourself with, you've always been able to do it yourself, but they have review apps, which when you make a pull request on GitHub, they will fire up an app in Heroku, and you have a setup script and it builds it in the environment, and then you can actually move that app up to production if you want, which has been like I used that for like over a year on a project, and it was really good. We were able to get more QA done because the review apps were so production like. We were able to configure the kind of test data in there and all those kind of things, and so QA then had a place they could go try and break all the new features. We could customize the data in there, we could pull in things that we needed from third-party services, and then they could go and QA them. So a really good feature. That kind of comes with, it's not available for free, but it was incredibly cheap. I think they were paying setting up a pipeline is like $10 a month or something, and then review apps kind of came as part of that. And we would, because we only needed such low traffic on the review apps, because it was only for QA, we would actually they would basically use up the free minutes because they were the smallest dyno size. Or maybe they paid, but it was like paid by the minute, and then we would allow them to turn off. So we would have a much larger system running on production, but the review apps were an incidental cost, which was pretty cool. That's all bigging up Heroku, which I now don't really use a lot, but it's not because I don't like it. So I think what we can do is basically just deploy what's on master like now. So there's nothing in the app at the moment, but I haven't added in Heroku or something. I'm guessing I would need to do that, or will it just do it automatically? Sorry, deploy because presumably I need to give it Postgres. Let's just do a quick check. So Heroku app with Postgres. Okay, So is this actually taking us through Heroku gems? Okay. Previous versions of Rails required you to add a gem to your project, Rails 12 factor, to enable static. If you are deploying a new application, this gem is not needed. If you're upgrading an existing, you can remove this gem, blah, blah, blah. Specify your Ruby version. Yep, we've done that. Store your app in Git, done that. Deploy your application to Heroku. Does it say anything about Postgres? In addition to using In addition to using the PG, ensure that your config database YAML is using the PostgreSQL adapter. I think ours is just the default one, so it should have all that stuff in. Let's just check it. Yeah, adapter Postgres, cool. Okay, so I'm just going through the, I'm gonna just bump the font size up again on this if you want to read along. Okay, so I think it's just going to infer that we're using Postgres and make it work. If I just hit deploy, will it just magically do everything? Give this a try. Okay, receive code from GitHub. This is, if that does work, it's an example of what I was talking about earlier, where using Heroku kind of would often mean we didn't have to deal with a lot of the individual steps that the third-party providers used. It would be like, hey, we'll just read your config files and infer so much and go the extra mile to try and work out what the hell is happening, rather than placing that burden on you. So I think the kind of hours that have been saved by Heroku over the years. Another one was like SSL certificate renewals. They had a script that would just do it in a one-liner, which is really useful. Look how much quicker it's doing those installs. I'm guessing they are putting this through a more powerful machine. Can we jump back to our action? Okay, so it has failed still. Is that the same failure? A db config for Github Actions. Yep. Okay. So now we've got two processes going. We are trying to fix the GitHub Actions, and we are also getting the Heroku app deployed. So I'm guessing we just, okay, so let's just do the dumb thing and see if someone has set up database. Okay, so okay. Is that setup database step not happening then? I am aware we pulled a bunch of steps out, so create database. That may well have been something that we pulled out. We can go and check that original blog post. So I'm jumping back and forth between the two now. So if we go and look at his original action here. No, okay. That last... we missed step 8 out of this. Okay. We want to add this other job here. Install Postgres, install dependencies. Setup database, I guess, goes before create database. Database.yaml.github actions. Right, okay, so now we know we have that. It's just copying that file over to there, and then it's running. Well, we then don't need bundle exec break db create, bundle exec break. I don't think these to run twice, but that one is giving it. Oh, because the M's have already been set. Postgres user, Postgres password. password, and they're both Postgres. Rails env test. That one's just passing. Okay, so they're doing the same thing, just differently. Bundle exec rake. Bundle exec rail. Okay, so we just don't need, they're doing the same things, we just don't need this step, we think. And that, I think that line there might be the one that we're missing. Okay, but every time we add these, we've got to wait 4 minutes for it to, so with add setup db step. I think the CP of the config file was missing previously. Cool, let's push that up, and then while that is waiting another 4 minutes, we'll jump back to our Heroku deploy. Which is doing a bunch of work. Tailwindy stuff. Oh wow, like that's crazy if that's worked. So has that then put, so under resources, yeah, you see that. So basically Heroku is there doing the work for you. They've looked, they know you're using Heroku, so they've basically just set up a Heroku database, and they will have connected the config variables as well through. So if you look in here in reveal config files, we will then have a database URL, and there will probably be things in our app that handle connecting, I would imagine. We might, yeah, I don't even think we had to. Okay, so if we open the app, major looking for those things, that's perfect. Okay, so what we can then do is put a logging thing on here, so we can say, quite like, does LogDNA have a freebie one? Yeah, they got a free one. So this, just go back a step. So this is the resources area in Heroku. They have this kind of add-ons app store thing, which is really helpful. Loads of the apps have free instances. So I've used LogDNA in the past, and you can see you then have the packages that how much you need. And you can have 90 megs of logs a day from LogDNA, which is just how much they'll show. The logs are stored by Heroku or like handled by Heroku anyway. And this is just about wrapping an app around them. You can just tell the logs in your terminal if you want to. This just puts an app that will let you look at them. And it's free for the limits on the free ones are low, but if you're just doing a test stuff, that's great. That'll take a little while to set up because it's actually going to build that and put it around the app. You can also have it report things like LogDNA, I imagine would be not LogDNA, like rollbar is probably in here. Yeah, so rollbar, you could have that report pretty much straight away. So LogDNA. So again, this is all like really helpful stuff you get from Heroku, so you can actually roll back to previous versions of any build. I think we didn't have a default view, and we had to go and do stuff. You also get the Heroku CI where you can connect to your database and things automatically. So I wonder if we could do something like Heroku run Rails C. And what's the app? Old Sunday Club. So this is actually going to connect us a console to that dyno that's running the server on. So this is effectively production. Because I'm wondering if we have like, I don't know what was on that initial. Oh, have we not run? DB schema load or anything? You can connect to PSQL as well through the Heroku CI, if I remember. But would it not have run on that last build? Build log. Unable to display build output. Okay. Oh no, wait, I don't want to roll. You. Okay. So we can't actually see what happened on that deploy. I would have assuming it would have run db schema load and then db migrate. Okay. So let's see if we can then go into the logs and see what errors we're getting. I'm guessing if we get no, if we've got no database tables, then the logs will just be, hey, I can't see this database. I think that is from... I think everything might be... You only want the app. Yeah, I think I have multiple apps in there, so I'm going to close that down. I might try, let's add something like paper trail instead, because I think I've got multiple apps in log DNA, so I think it's showing a million lines of logs, but I think that's from other apps that I've got log DNA via Heroku in. Rather than trying to filter that, I think we'll just chuck on a different free logging platform. While we're waiting for that, let's go and see our new action. Oh, that didn't... Oh wow, okay. We've got a different failure. Very exciting. Now we can't find Webpacker. Okay. So let's do the same thing we did before. Webpacker.yml. Config webpacker.yml. Config webpacker.yml. Do we need to have like a GitHub Actions versions of this as well and CP that? Test in here. Move the style sheet pack. Move the style sheet pack tag. Isn't that? This may help anyone in the... Remove JavaScript pack tag application for... Oh, I see. So is it just that we now have... JavaScript pack. Style sheet pack. It's driven me crazy, turns out. I'll name CSS under app JavaScript will break this for sure. So app JavaScript CSS, which is what we have. Oh, okay. Oh. This is such a mess in Rails. Okay. sometimes you're like, what the hell? Like, we're on like a 5th issue, like chasing stuff down in GitHub issues. This, if you are a learner watching this stream, like this is mainly what setup stuff is often like in my experience. For like, once it works, things tend to be pretty reliable, and people do really bend over backwards for backwards compatibility, but you're just like so many brick walls when you first start. And then like, if you're, I'm skimming these because I'm kind of vaguely familiar with some of this stuff, but if you're new to this stuff, I don't know how like you're expected to know any of this. Okay, what is the actual outcome of this? This is a really, really long issue. Oh great, there isn't one. They just don't put that folder there, but that was how we got the stupid global stuff into Tailwind. I mean, before we were using Webpacker, we had the same issue with all the Sprocket stuff and asset pipeline anyway, so it's not like this is any worse. It's just different. If you don't have to do... So could we rename... Is that what... I'm just grasping at comments here. Instead of import stars. So do we actually import that? No, that's not the right one. So do we import this specifically? So now we're trying to solve the issue of getting Webpacker working for the GitHub action. So we require it in application.js. So is what he's saying here, you could make a Pax and Webpacker will correctly handle it. So on these people where they're doing a commit to fix it, what are they actually doing? Are they literally pulling out the tag? Don't I need the tag to generate the actual... I'm confused by that. Is that not... In the layout, is that not where it's actually going to come out? Because that went in as part of the Tailwind install, didn't it? Install Tailwind, yeah. Right, let's just see if it resolves it briefly, because everything will look stupid. Don't think doing anything with that, so everything will just look bad, but we don't really care about that too much. Let's just see if that resolves the issue for now. Because at least then we'll know. We can come back. So comment out style sheet pack tag. We're trying to debug the Webpack issue in GitHub Actions. Again, like we're just doing a web branch here, but this will all eventually be, I think, like on commit. Really, we don't. Maybe we'd keep a couple if we wanted to know what we were debugging and really wanted to fix it separately. Okay, so that's our GitHub action. Let's jump back to our Heroku issue. Okay, let's agree to something without reading it. Ah, cool. So we've got no logs on our app. Let's go and try and open our app. Do we get any logs? Yes. No root matches get. Okay, so what we can do, we hadn't added in our home. So why did connecting to this not give us... Do we have the concept of channel? Is there? Okay. Okay, so if we do exit and then we... Can we do run? Presumably it would have done that on the deploy. Oh, no, okay. It didn't. Because if we're deploying it for the first time, oh, so there are no migrations to run. Okay. So now if we connect to console, can we make a channel? Exciting. Okay, so what was mandatory on a channel? So let's make, let's create a variable called channel. So remember, we're on our console in our Heroku app now, not locally. So we're making a channel and we're going to give it, I think name was mandatory. Because remember, we don't have the concept of sites in here yet because we didn't rebase that over from our work in progress branch. Can we just then save this? Did we need any more? Nope. Organization must exist. Okay, let's make an organization. And let's give the organization a name. Let's try and save that. Great, so we've got an organization. And then let's tell the channel that its organization is that one. And then let's try and save it. Oh my God, amazing. So can we then go in Heroku to /channel/1? No, we cannot. Can't remember what was actually in those initial commits. So we should have some errors. Oh, amazing. We're getting the same error. Okay, cool. So it's nice to know we get the same error in Heroku that we're getting in Github Actions. You want to set the Webpack... okay, maybe we should actually read this now. You want to set the Webpack YML value of compile to true for your environment unless you're using the Webpack W or Webpack server. Okay. So compile is true for production. Let's check if that's true. Development, compile true. Test, compile true. Production, compile false. Production depends on pre-compilation. Okay. Production depends on pre-compilation of packs prior to booting for performance. Should we have run some sort of step on deploy that we're not doing? Okay. Oh, I didn't push that stupid change. Time lost on running those. Okay, so locally I've hit those. Can we then push? Can we deploy the GitHub Actions branch? Because we don't need this to just be master. So we can actually just deploy GitHub Actions, where I've commented that file. We can just deploy that to Heroku. And that should tell us whether that works or not, or whether that was the fault. So normally on Heroku, on your kind of production app, you would probably only deploy master, or if you have a branch called production or whatever. But because we're not really using this app at all, we can just deploy whatever branch we want, and we don't care if it breaks. I think that might finish faster than the GitHub Actions, so then we'll know. So then I guess it's a case of, if that does fix it, it's a case of kind of working out, going through these huge amount of information around Webpacker as part of the asset pipeline, or whatever that is called now. If you still have extract CSS, CSS is not extracted as separate file. A Starsheet pack tag is not used by Rails. You can remove it and see that it still works. So is that the one that we removed? Totally not going through that in a very rigorous way. Okay, so if we actually start up a terminal then, so we can exit that. Start up a server, sorry. Locally, and just see if our great, okay. Oh, I don't know if we ended up with a channel. We got a channel locally. Oh my god. I haven't got a channel. God damn it. It's really annoying. Because we could switch to master, switch to that other branch, then create one. Okay, come on. Going around the houses, okay. Okay, so then we can go to a local one. No! Because our server needs to be rerun, maybe? No! Okay, that's not a good idea. Oh, come on. Sorry, I was trying to just see if I could get a channel built really quickly just in our test app. But at this point, we might as well wait for GitHub to finish its work. So it's doing assets pre-compile there, but that's for the Rails asset pipeline. So it'd be the stuff here that it's doing in Yarn that would do the Tailwind stuff, I guess. Do Yarn install? Yep, so we've still got the same error here. App views layouts line 10. Which is line 10? It says the JavaScript pack tag is also failing. Right, okay, we are 90 minutes in, so I might have to start wrapping this up in terms of getting there. Super annoying that we didn't get it out. Let's see if Heroku will run if we get the same error. Yep, so this is nearly done. Amazing. Okay, so that is now working. And we can update the channel and we have no styling. Okay, right. We have the app live on Heroku. That is amazing. Something is wrong with the Webpack build that is affecting the GitHub action, and the commenting out has made Heroku work. But effectively, we now have our app up. And it's the branch where there's no author, so if you want to have a play around with what's nothing is there, you can go take a look at sundayclub.herokuapp.com, and we will try and get a custom domain working. And maybe we will try and run again around what's happening here. I think we just need to explore this issue where people really seem to dive into it. It literally renamed the folder into style sheets and it worked. That seems too easy to be true, but okay. Under app, JavaScript, style sheets. If that works, it'll blow my mind in the same way that it did his. But then Rails is just a giant naming convention anyway, so that's the rename of that. CSS folder in JavaScript folder. That makes no sense, but I'm basically just going to link to this guy's link. Making change based solely on, and then just put a link to that. So commit it and then push it. Okay, so that's running. I think I'm going to wrap the stream up for today. That's 90 minutes. But the handy thing is that because this is all open source, you can just go take a look. So if you're interested in getting these working, then you can kind of see what I've done to make them work, and you know, all of that stuff. Kind of see the changes that are happening here on the branches and everything. Just go play around. It would be super interesting to get these running. I don't know, it's 35 seconds in. Maybe I'm okay. Let's do this last one. This is the downside of development. It's like, oh, I'm so, like, you're always so close to getting it working, and it always makes you come back for just like 5 more minutes. Okay, so when do we, the next thing would be to add the custom domain. Add domain. So the domain that we've bought is sundayclub.co, because none of the others are available. Next. Copy and paste your DNS target. Okay, copy and paste it to where? Does that just need to be in? Back to domains, configuring your DNS. So I have done the thing with the root domain before. I think we should do it with a www. And I've done a wildcard domain on here before, so it's pretty straightforward. So we've added the domain, got to configure the DNS. So I've actually got that open in my other tab. Oh, maybe we'll get one more thing done on this stream actually while we're waiting for that GitHub action. So again, this is one of the advantages. Like I think this is all usually really straightforward. So that is now pointing at Cloudflare. Oh, I think I can show the Cloudflare thing on screen actually. So yeah, cool. So let's pull this one over. So this is Cloudflare that we're using. Great news, Cloudflare is now protecting your site. Amazing. So I did nothing. These are all of the DNS records that came from buying a sort of Namecheap. Just they fill in all this junk for you. So in the Heroku docs, let's just do www. Yep, we want to edit this one, and we want to paste in that thing we just got. Save that. Subdomain, blah, blah, blah. Root domains, yeah, so root domains, alias at Namecheap, here we go. Let's add new record, alias record. So that will replace this one here, so we can do add record. They don't have alias, oops. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. I'm doing it here. Sorry, I'm doing it through Cloudflare, aren't I? Just because the Namecheap is where it's registered. So it would actually be on Cloudflare. I'm not sure I really need to do that one right now, if this one would work. So does that work? Okay, so it knows it's pointing somewhere. Maybe. Where's our actual app? We're just waiting for that. Got our app deployed, so if we go to like channels, which we had working. Which one? Okay, so maybe it just hasn't wired up yet. That's also HTTP. Do we need to do the Heroku SSL if we're using Cloudflare? I don't think so. I think we can get our SSL through Cloudflare. Okay, so not too fussed about any of this. Right, how long did that take? Can we go back to our action? No, I think failed. Still the same failure. Okay, that did not work. We are gonna call it here. So we got our app up and running in Heroku. Pretty exciting. Didn't get GitHub Actions up and running because Webpack in Rails is doing something that we don't expect. And we got our domain name up and running in Heroku, but we are not quite sure why it's not showing yet. But hopefully that's just a case of it propagating through. So thank you very much. If you have, hope you found something useful in any of all of that. That was kind of not coding specific, but very much infrastructure specific. So hopefully if other people had the issues, I will endeavor this afternoon to go through and write through the chapters, because you won't want to watch the whole thing. You'll only want to kind of, you've probably come across stuff on Google, and hopefully there'll be things that people can find useful for specific issues or specific steps that they're interested in, and things like that. So thanks a lot for everyone's time in checking it out, and I will see you all next week at 10:30 AM UK time on Sunday Club.